Over to you, Kelly.
Thank you very much, and good evening all. So my name is Khaled, as you know, and I'm standing for Cambridge. I'm an oncology consultant. Despite today was my day off to run the campaign, but the hospital called me to prescribe chemotherapy, so I went back home using the hospital laptop, prescribe the chemotherapy for patients because 4 of my colleagues, they are off due to annual leave and holidays and emergency. As well tomorrow, that's strike for the junior doctors. So basically why I'm standing because our junior doctors, not just our children, starving, struggling. I used to be a junior doctor before I became a consultant. Now tomorrow, the day for them, and they are really struggling. I know how much they're struggling. I know how much my patients are struggling. I know how much my nursing team is struggling. My mom is a teacher. She's coming from Bethlehem. My dad is a teacher, and I know our teachers community needs us. Our city needs us. This is the reason why I'm standing. I would love, one of you, just take one of these papers, read about the Workers' Party. I think, oh, it's a new party. Yes, but it's here to stay forever to support the community. We're here to help. We're here to stand together for our humanity, for our British values. My apologies, I forgot to say how much with the timing. But what I would like to say, let's stand for the city. I just noticed, I was reading the newspaper like always, the food bank forced to buy its own supplies after donation drop. You know what this means? Our community getting bigger, more homeless people, more starving community. We have 4.3 million children where? In poverty, where? Here in UK. Not abroad, like in Palestine or Gaza. I would like to say, we have here, thank you very much, we have here really people, should not be politicians, should be faced by the court when they say stop the food, stop the electricity, stop the water. For who? Children, poor people. This is not right. We are human for our humanity. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, poverty is a blight on society. It's a sign the wealth distribution has gone wrong. It's not just unequal, it's inequitable. Outsiders see Cambridge as a city of lofty ideals and clever people who all live in picturesque terraced houses. But the reality is a city of shocking inequality, a city rife with petty ideas, where people increasingly measure their intellect by the size of their bank balance. When you leave the bubble of central Cambridge and walk north or east, you get to a very different city of mainly council estates. Over the years, much of the social housing has been sold off. Some has fallen into disrepair, is blighted by bad neighbours, or mismanaged by the council's contractors. In this bland suburbia live the majority of people in Cambridge, those who serve the elites in the city centre. As money floods into our city and the big political parties compete for who will build more new homes, because anyone who wants to move to Cambridge should be able to buy a home here, we're going to get more poverty, because more money means more inequality. Not just people who can't afford to buy a house, but people who slip off the tightrope, lose their place in society, and end up destitute. Once you fall, it's hard to get back to your feet. I once thought that you could walk into any business in Cambridge and ask for a job. I was wrong. To some, all the doors are closed, as people in a nearby homeless shelter told me recently. These closed doors, manned by HR professionals, let in only the right types of people, in most cases, well-educated, young, high-value talent. The kind of people most of the new homes planned for our green belt are aimed at. The current plans to develop Cambridge are an affront to its people. If we want a fairer city with a strong sense of community, we must begin by bettering the lot of the people who are left out from all these plans, the local people who make this city tick, and the people whose suffering makes all the hot air blown by the champagne socialists in their sounding boxes seem like an immoral outpouring of middle-class barons.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Can I start by first of all saying how grateful I am that we're having this debate, and also I want to say this is the third debate that I've attended, and this is by far the hardest that I've found to prepare for 3 reasons. One is this is an incredibly complex topic that no one body can solve on their own. 2, it's incredibly emotive to me and has had a real impact on my upbringing personally, so I feel it deeply. And third, whether I like it or not, I'm the government's representative, it seems, tonight, and I have to acknowledge we haven't done enough on this subject. Other governments haven't done much better, but we've not done enough in the last 10 years. But looking ahead, I think we need a combination of short, medium and long-term solutions to this. And I can't go through them all given the time, but I'll list a few. Short term, we need to help those who are suffering with poverty to get by day to day. So those who are in receipt of benefits, I'm supportive of the pledge by the Russell Trust to bring in an essentials guarantee for those in receipt of benefits. It makes no sense to have welfare if it can't cover the basic cost of living. For those in work but in poverty, they have no business paying tax whatsoever to the government. It's a nonsense. We need to raise that threshold to take them out of tax. Medium term, we need to help people get out of poverty. And to do that, I think you need the security of a good job and the security of a home, a roof above your head. The way to do that on jobs is to grow the economy and to target particularly areas with high unemployment, so people have secure, well-paid jobs for the future. And on homes, it's not a popular position in Cambridge, but we need to build more social housing, more affordable homes, because it's proven if you have a secure roof over your head, you're much more likely to get out of poverty and stay out of poverty. And then long term, I think the focus needs to be on skills and education. I'm a big fan of lifelong learning. We need to make sure people have the skills for the jobs today and for tomorrow, so they keep that secure income in the future. And I know I'm out of time. On education, we need to make sure young people who are born into poverty have the skills and the opportunities they need to leave poverty and to never return.
Thank you, David. Okay.
Every life counts. Every human deserves to have a meaningful livelihood from cradle to grave. 1 in 5 of the UK population live below the poverty line. 1 in 5. Poverty is a political choice. Our government has let a small number of people hoard obscene wealth whilst our nurses are using food banks. Cambridge is the UK's most unequal city in terms of income, with the top 6% of earners accounting for 19% of the total income, while the bottom 20% receive only 2%. Residents in Newnham are living roughly 12 years longer than the inhabitants of King's Hedges. This is a city where people with financially broad shoulders live close by to those who can't even afford life's essentials on universal credit, which is inadequately calculated. The Greens know we can do better than this. The 10-point Trussell Trust manifesto runs parallel to our own fully costed, fully evidenced manifesto. Yes, the Greens will push the government to increase universal credit by £40. Yes, to introducing a minimum wage of £15 an hour. Yes to scrapping the 2-child benefit cap, lifting 250,000 children out of poverty. Yes to a maximum 10-to-1 pay ratio for all private and public sector organisations. No worker should see their CEO getting paid more in a day than they do in an entire year. Yes to providing 150,000 new homes at social rents. Yes to taxing wealth fairly. I was chatting to a resident in Newnham last week who said to me, I want to pay more tax. And ultimately, a huge no to the scandal of rising child poverty, and no to the 130,000 children growing up in temporary accommodation. We can do better. Poverty is a political choice. Every life counts.
Thank you.
Good evening, it's lovely to be with you tonight. I've been a secondary school teacher for the last 13 years, and it turns out that starts to do funny things to you. So apart from the very strong urge to start counting all of you, it also means that we really start to see exactly the same trends and patterns in society as we see in school, and that's because schools are communities. And I think it's in school where you really see the systemic nature of poverty up close. Some of our children arrive after a nice breakfast at home, homework done, bags packed, ready to start their day, because there is someone at home, often someone working a higher paid and therefore likely to be a more flexible job, to help them start their day well. These children thrive, and then they go on to pass those advantages onto their own children. But others don't. Some of our little ones rushing late because they spent the morning getting their younger siblings out of bed and breakfasted. Because contrary to what some people will tell you, more and more people living in poverty are in fact not unemployed, but are working multiple poorly paid jobs to make ends meet. These children start the day tired and hungry, chance of homework or reading with an adult at home is zero. Surviving for them and their families is just much harder, and so they struggle at school and each week they fall a little bit further behind. The Education Minister calls this the pupil premium gap. I call it failing my children. Poverty is a lack of money, but it also is a lack of time and a lack of freedom. It's definitely not a lack of love. So to break this cycle, we have to think beyond just the next 5 years of government. Education is an investment and we have to treat it like one. The Liberal Democrats are the party of the pupil premium, and we propose extending free school meals to all primary school children, because we know that children who are fed are children who will learn better. We're the party of carers, often amongst the poorest paid and least supported people in society, and we would increase the carers allowance and reform social care in order to back these unsung heroes, taking the pressure off our NHS for those who need it. A systemic problem requires a systemic change. But we need immediate action too. And research shows that scrapping the two-child benefit cap would lift more children out of poverty than any other single policy. That a Labour government wouldn't do this is baffling. The promise that hard work ensures your safety net has been broken. Taking the toys out of government still starts, but we must go further to bold, compassionate policies which generally invest in breaking the cycle and building a fair society. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's great to be in this room with people that are as passionate as I am about reducing poverty, and thank you for having me. As many of you will know, my dad got ill when I was at primary school and was never able to work again, so I grew up on benefits in Tory Britain, and I saw my parents trying desperately to ensure that I didn't lose out whilst making incredible sacrifices, and with everyone looking at them and saying, well, they must be feckless, they must have somehow done something wrong to be in this position. And it was terrible. I wish I could say it was different now, but years of austerity and mismanagement from coalition and Conservative governments have taken their toll. I'm really proud of the record of the Labour Council, worked in partnership with many people in this room to try to address food poverty, to build council homes, to give out millions of pounds in community grants. But there is so much more to do, and we need changes at the centre to ensure that those things can be done. Living standards have plummeted, taxes have gone up, the NHS is crumbling, childcare disappeared in many cases, food bank use has gone absolutely through the roof. Labour will bring in a new deal for working people, support more affordable housing, support renters' rights, reduce energy costs, expand access to childcare and introduce free breakfast clubs in every school. There will be a proper minimum wage and there will be better funding for the local authorities that need to do the work on the ground, because we have to work together. We need to give people the chance to look forward with hope. People need to be secure in the knowledge that life will get better, and I think there's a real lack of hope with this cost of living crisis. Change is possible, but we have to vote for it. We can restore hope.
Thank you.